What was Alexis Hall doing when she wrote this book? So, Husband Material is the sequel to the really popular Boyfriend Material. This one follows Luke and Oliver again. You catch up with them 2 years later after the events of the first book. And the plot is essentially Luke feeling the pressure to get married, who then proposes to Oliver unexpectedly, and the book is centered around them preparing for the wedding. At the end of the first book, we left off in a really good place with Oliver and Luke. They seem to have settled into their relationship and accepted each other's drawbacks and really complimented each other in a very good way, and it seemed that they were on the road to a really healthy and loving relationship. And now that we catch up with them in this book, Jesus, it's not good. Now, it's not outright terrible, but as time goes on throughout this book, the relationship between the two is just abysmal, and it is honestly depressing to read. The feeling I get when I'm reading it is I feel like I'm in a relationship that I know is coming to an end, and yous have been fighting, and it's negative, and it's horrible, and nothing seems to be going right, nothing seems to be compatible, and you're just so depressed and drained and emotionally done that you just want it to be over. That is this book. That is the feeling this book gives you. This romance book that's supposed to be really light and funny, and it is funny in parts, but it's just so draining to read, and it's such an uncomfortable experience. So I'll start with Luke. Luke has just completely reverted back to the way he was in the first book. All character development is completely gone. He is just back to his original self-loathing, self-sabotaging self, and he doesn't seem to be able to break that habit throughout the entire book. He just doesn't grow, which is weird, and that plays into a lot of why the relationship in this book just isn't working. I mean, Oliver in this book is basically just missing for half of it, and when he is there, he's just constantly in arguments with Luke, and you don't really get to see a good side of their relationship a lot of the time. A lot of it is focusing on their differences and what isn't going right, and by the end of it, you're like, if this was real life, you two would have broken up by now, because they do seem so incompatible, and Alexis Hall goes out of her way to make it seem like they're really not, and they really shouldn't be together, and it's so depressing and just uncomfortable to read, because it seems like she is trying to go for an uplifting ending, and no, it's just not working. And Luke is just at his worst in this book. He's so selfish, he's so self-centered, he's a little insane. You know, the way Luke in the previous book was betrayed by his boyfriend, who sold his private secrets and exposed his entire life to a tabloid for £50,000, which caused him to enter a depressive spiral for 5 years that traumatized him so significantly that he struggled to get back into relationships after it. Yeah, that boyfriend, Luke wants to attend his wedding. What? Why? Why would you do that? And why would you put your current partner through that as well? It's so weird. It's so bizarre, and his character is just so messed up that you really do question why Oliver stays with him in the first place, because he is truly awful. Everything he thought of himself in the first book proves to be true in this book. All his negative thoughts, all his preconceptions of himself, Alexis Hall just makes them reality in this book, and I don't understand why she does it. It's blatant character assassination. This entire book should just be renamed Character Assassination, because that's what it is. Everybody gets a sore touch in it, and it's really not nice. And Luke just seems to be interested in steamrolling all of Oliver's opinions and thoughts and the way he loves his life and what his choices are. And it's seen very, very obviously in an issue that I had with the first book, which I was praying would be left behind, but it is so not. Alexis Hall seems to want to die on this hill. I don't know why she keeps bringing this up, but this theme of what's the right way to be gay, it just harps on and on and on, and I don't know what her fucking problem is. Luke is obsessed with having this rainbow arch in their wedding that's Oliver would feel would be a bit ostentatious, and it's not very him, and it's not, Oliver's more traditional person. He just wants an ordinary wedding. He doesn't want a lot of the LGBT influences in it. He is willing to concede that to Luke to make him happy, even though it's not his personal preference. He's trying to compromise, whereas Luke is trying to steamroll Oliver's opinions, and he's implying that Oliver has some sort of form of internalized homophobia because he doesn't participate in LGBT events. It's so weird, and it's brought up so consistently that I have to believe that this is Alexis Hall's own personal beliefs about this, and it's so out of place. It does not need to be here, and it does not need to be discussed at length. It is exhausting watching the two of them have this argument over and over and over again throughout the book, and it serves no purpose. It's a turn off to them, and it's a turn off to the reader, and I don't know why she has so much of it in here. I really do question her own real life opinion on this, because why would you harp on about it so much when it's doing nothing for the characters, doing nothing for the book, nothing for the atmosphere? It's just not good. And then the ending, when I was done this book, I just wish she had never written it, because it does nothing but destroy what was originally built in the first book. It doesn't build on it, it just knocks it down. And it's not an uplifting ending, it's a rage-inducing ending. Spoiler, I'm going to tell you the ending. Luke and Oliver decide not to get married and then run off to the sunset because they don't care about people's expectations anymore. What was the point of it then? So what was the point of the entire book? To what? Realize that whenever you have this kind of pressure to have a wedding, that when it comes to it, you are so incompatible that you should never go through with it. So what? We spent the entire book, this romance book, proving that the two of you don't belong together, because whenever you have to actually come together and compromise on stuff, you can't. Like, what is the message here? Why write this book? It's depressing. Anyway, this is just not the same characters that we originally had. It will ruin your image of them that you have from the first book, and she does intend to write a follow-up to this Favre material, and honestly I hope she does take some advice from the criticism of this book and actually focus on building the relationship between the two rather than tearing it down and making it look as if they really don't belong together, because honestly they should have broke up in this book. It's just that bad. If that's how you're going to write the story, that's how you're going to write the characters, you can't have the happy ending, because the happy ending is not congruent with everything else that you have been writing up to this point. No, it's just a misstep, and it's a mistake. I don't think she should have went with this plot. I don't think it benefits the characters, and I don't think it presents her in the best light either, especially with the whole way to be gay stuff. Honestly, it's a bad look, and yeah, it's not my favourite. This bothered me that much as a sequel that, as a book, it's generally well formatted and written, and there's no grammatical errors or anything like that, so I usually don't go by one. But yeah, I'm giving this a 1 out of 5 because that is what it's like as a sequel to its original source. It's just not good. It's a misstep, and the story is questionable at best, and the characters are just completely ruined in this, and the relationship's ruined, and I get no good feeling out of this book whatsoever. All I get is negative emotions, and no, that's not what you read these books for. They're supposed to be a bit of escapism, a bit of fluff for your life, but yeah, this is the opposite of that. I felt stressed reading this book, so honestly, I wouldn't recommend it. If you enjoyed the first one, I just wouldn't read it. I'm going to try and read Favre material when that comes out and hope that she repairs the damage she's done, but honestly, if it continues like this one, then I'll probably not even finish that halfway through it, if I'm being honest. But that's that. You can pick it up if you want. I wouldn't recommend it if you enjoyed the first book, but it's up to yourself.